What's going on, YouTube? It's Matt Faircloth. Welcome to Mentorship Monday. My name is Matt. My company is called the DeRosa Group, and this is our Mentorship Monday program where people email their questions in to help me at DeRosaGroup.com. That is help me at DeRosaGroup.com, and we answer the questions right here, live, right now, on the air, on the show, for you and everybody else to learn from. And I got Murda. Hi. To somebody watching live. Give you guys shout outs. You guys watch live. I'll try and give some shout outs when you guys want them. So here's the DeRosa Group as a company. We're a real estate company with transparency. We're involved in all kinds of cool stuff, including a 336 unit complex in North Carolina, office complexes, and growth. And that's what we're up to. But we want to commit to transparency to let you guys see into our company, to see what we're up to here on this YouTube channel, to educate you guys, to help you guys learn what it is we're doing. In addition to that, we have a phenomenal program that you guys can take it to the next level to learn what it is that we're up to, called DeRosa Insiders. Here to tell you guys all about DeRosa Insiders, who is our sponsor for today's program, is my partner in crime, Justin Fraser. Come on in, Justin.
Hey, Matt. What's happening, man?
That's how I'm doing. I'm awesome.
You're awesome. Glad to hear it.
My story, and I'm sticking to it, Justin. Keeping it into being. I'm awesome. Don't be
awesome, man. Oh, geez. Yeah. It's a
right. Anyway, tell us all about Insiders, Justin, today's sponsor. Tell us all about that.
Listen, DeRosa Insiders at its core is a private community designed to help you, the multifamily investor, grow. We want to help you find team members. We want to help you learn through seeing how we're operating our company. We just passed 1,000 units under ownership, $55 million that we own and manage. We are doing a lot of stuff. So whether it's team related, goal setting, planning, property visits, as I tell you every time, when we're on a roof, we're going to be live on DeRosa Insiders because that's just how we do it. It's just fun. And we've done more live Q&As from the rooftops than anywhere else, I would say. So listen, the goal is to bring insiders with us, bring them on the journey with us, share what we're doing, how we're doing it, answering questions. You know, we're just on today talking to someone about just the benefits of bridge loans or agency loans, all kinds of really good stuff. The members are helping each other, supporting each other, and it's a really, really great community. We've had a ton of great positive feedback so far. People are starting to get deals. We're interviewing brokers, all kinds of really good stuff. So we want you to join. So it's very easy to join. Just follow that link up there. Text DeRosa to 66866. We would love to have you join us. What is up, Cedric? How you doing, man?
Cedric. Justin, thank you. And I would just add on that Insiders is something that I wish was around when I first got started, because it is a community. It's a very affordable community to be a part of. So take the moment right now and go to and text the word DeRosa to 66866, or go to DeRosaGroup.com/insiders, and you can join our private Facebook group, better known as DeRosa Insiders. Yeah. Speaking of which, let's bring on our first question asker. He is an Insiders member as well. He was asking a question, and then this conversation was happening on Insiders, and I was like, hey, this is an awesome conversation. We needed to bring it to YouTube, man. So without further ado, welcome another Justin.
Another Justin. There's two of us now.
Awesome. So great to be here. So great to be here. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Justin. And segue wise, right? Like, I recently joined DeRosa Insiders because I was watching your YouTube videos, Matt, and loved it. And I was like, man, this is where I want to be in the future. And here's, great content, the right there. This is the story. This is what we're doing. And the authenticity that you have is really contagious. And then you're in one of the videos like, hey, check out Insiders. Checked it out. And it's very affordable, and opted in. And so far, I post, people reply, even you, Matt, and Justin, oftentimes like, oh, those people that are on YouTube, where they got all these followers, they got millions of dollars of deals going, and like, I can't actually interact with them, but join Insiders.
We're all addicted to our phones, right? On Facebook too. We're all on Facebook, unlike everybody else. We're no better. So tell us, you had a question that you had posted. Without further ado, you had a question for us on Insiders. How can let's reframe it. You don't have to read off the screen there, but tell us what you were thinking.
Yeah, well, and this comes from personal people in my network that I've started to kind of, they know what I'm doing now, real estate investing, and I've got some background in it and a lot of family history in it. But everyone, when it comes to actually going from great idea to here's thousands of dollars and to for you to invest on my behalf. And one of those people I talked with recently, I honestly asked them, hey, I'm going on this on this show, and what would you be interested in? And they're like, how are you gonna not lose my money?
How to not lose money? Let's talk about that.
Right. Because right. So, and on the other side of that, so that's from the investor, someone who's going to be forking over that money. They're like, I don't want to lose it. I want it to grow, of course, but that fear instinct of, well, like it might just get lost. So how do you mitigate that? What are you going to do to ensure that I'm not going to only lose my money? And on the flip side, on the general partner, on the investor, who's doing the deals, it's like, well, then what can I do to not just reassure them and just kind of tell them a good spiel, but to actually have a plan in place, and how can I go into deals knowing that, hey, this actually is, I have a pretty high confidence that this actually may work out, and how can I do right by these investors the best way that I can?
Okay, cool. So 2 different questions really, and that's totally fine. So LP side due diligence to make sure they don't lose money, and GP side business planning and integrity to make sure you don't go losing people's money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right, come on in, Justin. Let's start. So here's LP side conversation first. Well, let's me and Justin do the LP side, and we'll do the GP side.
Cool.
LP. It's for the LP. It's all about ensuring 2 things. What's the downside risk and what's the collateral? Okay. So how bad could things get? For a syndication, the worst thing that could happen in most syndications is you don't get the preferred return you thought you were going to get when you were going to get it, and the project has to defer the pref for a little bit and you get caught up. The probability of losing the site altogether is fairly slim, if not zero, and everything like that. Sorry, somebody's murdering a small child at my home, or it also could be that my daughter's home from daycare. So,
that'll be me in a little bit as well. So.
Right, yeah. But it sounds like a child's fingers are being removed in the hallway. So, anyway. So it's about understanding. A lot of people get caught. This happens on the GP side too. People get caught on the upside. They're like, oh man, I can make 15% return. And right. And GPs want to be like, I'm going to get you a huge return on money, double digits. We're going to apartment buildings, cash flow, taxes. Right. Yeah. But they don't spend enough time. We do, but people don't spend enough time talking about what could happen and what the other side of it is. So LPs need to get focused on, what's the downside risk and can I pallet it? And it's likely not going to be that you're going to lose all your money and this deal is going to go bankrupt. That's possible, but it's probably not anywhere near in the realm of possibility in today's world. Banks don't want these properties back. And unless you invest with a bad actor, like someone who's literally out to steal your money, odds are you're going to get your money back one way or another. It's just the worst case really is that the delay on getting your money is going to be out there. So if you're an LP and you need that cash flow, syndications are probably not for you unless you want to get to something that's like pref equity or high security, right? So making sure what the downside is, and if there is collateral, what can I come and get that's like something that I can hold as a place marker to get my money back, like a mortgage on a property or whatever. If it's equity, there's really not a whole lot there, aside from the GP, the sponsor's reputation. Justin, what are your thoughts on how an LP can, make sure they don't lose their money, but also just make sure that they, are getting into something that's worth that is what they think that it is?
Yeah, The answer to both of these questions, it's like one side of the line is one way and one side of the line is the other, but it's like the same answer either way. You want to look at the sponsor's reputation. You want to know, like, have they done this before? So if we're projecting 90% returns on our next deal, well, we've never done 90% returns before, as much as I would love to, right? It's just so out of the blue that I would not trust me if I tell you you're going to get 90%, unless there's a very, very clear business case, right? So you want to see what have those deals done before? What has that sponsor done? You want to vet that track record. You want to know that they've been successful. And it is a good question to ask, what is the worst case scenario? Because if you say, well, worst case scenario, I mean, I love all the answers, right? There's tons, but I get asked a lot, what if the place burns down? I say, well, that sucks because that's someone's house, that's where someone's living, but we're well insured from a financial standpoint. The morality of like someone's home burning down aside, you're protected, right? We have great insurance coverage with an umbrella policy on top of it, and like all these extra layers of security. It might delay a return, it might change how it gets spent out, but we're well protected there. So it's even the whole building going down. There's all these safeguards put in place. It really comes down to the worst case for every individual deal, and a lot of times it comes down to the sponsor. Is the sponsor going to run this deal well? Something I preach out on my show, True Multifamily, all the time, which is you have to run your assets well. You have to run your assets well, because that's the difference between driving an asset into the ground or excelling it and hitting the returns projected by the underwriter.
Nice. And I think that the worst case scenarios that most people think are possible are really not possible. Like as Justin said, what if the property burns down? Well, as long as nobody dies, then you got insurance. And God forbid if somebody dies, God forbid, there's ramifications on that too. And that's also what insurance is for. I hate to say that, but it's
covered. I mean, we do have coverage for all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So people tend to worry about, what if you can't raise rents? What if you can't do this? What if you can't? Like there are stopgaps for those things. And if your syndicator, created enough worst case scenario into their underwriting and into their conservatisms, then you'll get through all those things. So I
have a question for Justin though. Were you asking? You said LP and GP. Were you thinking more in terms of syndication, or because your next question is about how you can raise money? Are you thinking about something smaller like a fix and flip or something more local?
Yeah. So the bigger game is the bigger multifamilies down the road. I mean, currently I have 3 properties. One's 2-bed, 1-bath little house. One's a 3-unit, and the other is a 7-unit. And so as you can see the progression there, moving up and gradually getting larger multifamilies, and also just on our end, we're starting to hit that limit for our own funding. So it's like, hey, in order to really scale and go bigger, I realize, I'm going to need to partner to really go bigger in the future. And so that is kind of the trajectory down the road.
Yeah. So good stuff. And I mean, my first GP deal was 2 single family homes, so it doesn't have to be a, big old apartment complex. It can be whatever it is, but the GP has fiduciary duties and the LP has fiduciary duties too, right? They both have their homework they should be doing. So forgetting about the size of the deal, for the GP, and to reframe it here, you want to talk about, let's touch on this. You want to talk about how the GP can make their investors comfortable that they're not going to lose their money, get their money stolen, right?
Yeah, and kind of throughout from A to Z, from kind of initial conversation of, here's an opportunity that has come my way, here's a track record, and that initial kind of offering or that invitation to that conversation to, okay, hey, some skin in the game, and then they're like the day before the skin is going into the game, and it's like, oh, what if, right? That stuff comes in, rolling the eyes like, oh yeah, that's happened, right? And then midway into it, something, because in construction or with any project, something's going to happen that is going to change the game plan.
Something will happen, and I'm sure that it will.
And not only, it might happen like 2 or 3 times, or more, right? By the time you get to the finish line,
everything's going to happen,
right? and and so just going on that journey with people, and obviously communication is going to be super key. You know, that due diligence, like you're saying, is really knowing those numbers, knowing the track record, having a great team, things like that. But kind of going through that journey of from the beginning, that conversation, to when it's skin's almost going to the game, to kind of that things have now shifted, and now we gotta, you know, it's not going to look like we expected, and just managing those emotions essentially from A to Z.
All right, let me unpack a bit. Okay, first of all, this is really a few things I'm going to touch on about, like, when you're talking to investors, what you really ought to be talking about, all the versus what people think that you should talk about, and also skin in the game, right? So those are some like pieces of what you just said that I want to, like, you know, throw out there, right? Okay. Number one, when folks that are presenting to an investor, they think that they need to be like, I've got the most amazing return. It's 18, 19, 20% and all the money you're going to make. That's important to investors, but it's not first, second, or third. You know, they want to really, I mean, they put stuff in the LP. Are you going to steal my money? You know, is this deal overbaked? Am I taking a risk? Whatever. Right. That's the conversation they want to have, is about, you know, is about collateral risk, those kinds of things. Additionally, I find my investors like it when we actually do this whole thing called giving a shit. Okay. Meaning, like, caring about them at all. Hey, how old are you? Where are you from? You know, what are your goals? You know, like, where are you, you know, like, how old are you when you go retire? You do what for a living? I've talked to investors that I was supposed to be talking about the deal that we were getting into. I ended up talking for a half an hour about what they did for a living. People do interesting stuff, you know?
Yeah,
and
it's fun.
Care about them, legit, not like acting like you do. Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more about what you do. No, they care. Tell, you know, like, just like I said, give a hoot, man, about what they do. And also about their financial goals, and you know, how many kids they have, all that stuff. When you're going to college. And this isn't just about caring. This is also collecting data that you can help them get where they want to go, if you can get that data. Where are the kids graduating high school is a fact that would be wonderful to know, because if their kids,
motivation,
right? But if their kids are 15 and you're putting them into an investment that's got a 7-year lock, they should know right out of the gate. Hey, man, listen. So, you know, whatever you ink a check for right now is going to be gone for 7 years, right? And I can make returns on it. But if you're planning on taking being Johnny's first freshman year at Harvard, you know, so it's important to collect that kind of data. That's number one, is to, as a GP, care about them and their goals and understand them and communicate with them from that fashion. The second thing is, every investor loves to ask about the skin in the game. And sometimes me and my GP team, we have skin in the game. Sometimes we don't. And you can either decide one of two things: just have skin in the game, and it's easy to answer, like, oh yeah, sure, I've got 50K, or I've got whatever in the deal, you know, or be really good at explaining why skin in the game doesn't matter, which is, it really doesn't. But make sure that be prepared to answer that, because it comes up all the time. How much money do you have in? You know,
I just want to interject. No matter what, don't lie.
We'll
find out. Right? Yeah. At some point, someone will find out. So, because you'll be saying one thing to one person, you'll forget that little lie you told about, oh yeah, I got 50K in there, you know, and then you'll forget, right? So, say what's true.
Hard to keep track of lies. You know,
yeah, exactly.
It's simple to just tell the truth, you know.
But if that's a legitimate concern that you have, or that your investors have, that you don't have any money in the game, well, let's think about what we need. We need a general partner to have skin in the game, so we could bring in someone that's going to invest, but they're in as a GP as well. Maybe they're doing other things that add value, and now the general partnership is investing in the deal.
Well, what I always quote is how much our general partnership has in the deal, because it doesn't, does it matter really how much you personally, Justin, have in the deal? It matters how much the leadership team of the project has in the deal. And that's an easier number. And it's also a more impressive number to quote, because if you've got EMD in the deal, earnest money deposit down, and you have the property under contract, you've got to have EMD, and it had to come from somewhere. And if you're giving somebody equity for their contribution of fronting that EMD early for you, then that's now a part of the leadership team. And you're not BSing. You're one of your partners now. They're not, they just loan you the money. They are one of your partners. You could say the general partnership team has X. That is not a lie. That is the truth, right? Now, if you make up a number and just say, oh, several $100,000, that sounds like a lie, but you can tell the truth in those fashions if you talk about your entire general partnership team. The other thing you can do, which is what Cedric here is at. Cedric, my buddy here is asking, right? What do I say if I don't have any funds to put in the game at all? Fair enough. You could say, well, Mr. Investor, guess what? I may not be inking a check like you are, but I've got my reputation, a personal guarantee on the mortgage, sponsorship. I've got probably several years worth of my life invested in this company to get things to this level. So I've got quite a bit invested aside in time and reputation and resources. And Mr. Investor, did you know that there's something called a bad actor clause that says that if I end up on like just sneezing the wrong way on this deal and getting fined, or the SEC gets involved in whatever in this investment with you, I cannot syndicate again. Did you know that? So I have my career on the line, okay, as a syndicator. So it's, yes, a check is valuable, but everything I have on the line is just as valuable too. And I would be leery working with investors that put their check above everything else that you were producing for them. Okay. So yeah, that's the whole, I know that wasn't directly, but that's
great.
And that's skin end's a big conversation. So
it really sounds like knowing the people and knowing who they are, what their values are, what their goals are, and it will really help to determine, well, is this even a great fit for them? Is this which then, because down the road, if at the beginning, like you mentioned, Matt, with, this is going to get locked up for the next 7 years and you might really need it in 5. So is this really the best fit for you? But actually, down the road, we got this other deal that's in the pipeline that actually might be an even better fit for you and your goals.
I've redirected many investors to other things that we have to offer. And I've told dozens and dozens of potential investors that had a lot of money out to invest with us that we were not the right fit for them. Because I felt like they maybe, a lot of times their goals weren't aligned. They wanted this, we wanted that. I was like, listen, I could probably force a square peg into a round hole and convince you that this is the right deal, but guess what? This ain't gonna work. And other times I just you kind of sometimes smell high maintenance on investors. And if you want to scale, you got to work with people that are going to trust you to do what you do, and they're going to go do what they do, and you go do what you do, and they take your updates and they ask questions, and then they go back to letting you do what you're great at,
And the backside to that is communication.
Yeah,
leading up to close, through close. Like we did, just for example, on this last deal we did webinars like every week leading up to closing. Like, here's the latest numbers from the property. Here's the latest that's happening with COVID in North Carolina. Here's the latest with this. Just keeping people informed about everything that was happening. And then 1 month in, which we've never done, we did a webinar 1 month in and say, hey, here's what happened 1 month in. Our financials aren't even finalized yet. And we're giving you a preview of everything that's been happening, just to ease concerns, because a lot of people are concerned because of COVID. A lot of people are concerned about eviction moratoriums and this and that. And so we have to over communicate so that people feel comfortable. And the more over communication we do on this deal, frankly, will lead to more investment on the next deal.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Integrity and trust. And if they trust you throughout that process and you do a great job, well, then the repeat business and the relationship just keeps going.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So good stuff, man. I think that you guys really nailed it. It's really about, right? It really goes all the way back to relationships and comfort and people, What's up, Mario? So he called you Jason. That's funny.
Right.
Happens all the time, doesn't it, Justin?
maybe Justin.
If I had $1 for every time I got,
oh my
Jason,
God, I wouldn't need to buy real estate anymore.
Right?
Every time.
You guys get Jason a lot, do you?
All the time.
From elementary school on. Man.
Yeah.
Jason. And by the way, we used to work with a guy named Jason, and he said he always called Justin. And
Oh, really? Okay.
So just respond. Like at one point, we'd be like, both look up, like, which one of us do you want? Who do you want to talk to?
Right. That's funny. Yeah. Well, anyway, Justin, other Justin on the bottom of my screen. No problem, Mario. We like to tease. Justin on the bottom of my screen there. Been awesome having you. I love having you as a member of Insiders. And I love your cocktail recommendations as well that you gave me through one of our happy hours. So I appreciate you all the way across the board, man. And thanks for everything. And we hope to have you on here maybe again for another YouTube convo or some Insiders live sessions over there as well. Like total freaking just teaser. I think that you and I had originally talked on Insiders about ways to quit your day job to invest full time. I'd love to do a deeper dive program on how to quit your job and invest full time in real estate. And I think that that's something that I would love to bring to Insiders to chat with you about.
Absolutely.
So
that would be awesome. No, thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful, and looking forward to next time.
Thanks,
no problem. Cool.
Stay on, Justin. Stay on. All right.
Justin Fraser, by the way, that's such a good conversation. That's something that we should consider. I think there's a lot of people that would benefit from how to leave their job and invest full time, but that's to be true conversation for the future. So this was a good convo, man. It really is. It's just people forget that you think that apartment building syndication is a dollars and cents business. This is such a people business, man. I mean, in dealing with investors and tenants and property managers and whatnot, there's so much juggling and dealing up and understanding personality in this industry. Don't you agree?
Yeah. And I think it boils down to, like we said, trust and transparency and communication. And, if I can plug, this guy I know wrote a book about raising money and called Raising Private Capital. And the theme throughout the whole book is about, building on your success, finding cash providers, but showing that track record and building organically and having people trust you through how you act and how you communicate and all that. So pick up from Bigger Pockets if you haven't already done so.
biggerpockets.com/store. Pick it up. They're having Black Friday sale this week. Not to be that guy, but I'll be that guy. You can get it at biggerpockets.com.
Well, this conversation is good because the book, I think, touches on syndication, but isn't really all about syndication. It's a lot more about single families and small multis and all that. So this is sort of like the next level evolution of these conversations. So really good to get into. A lot of the core principles are the same, but obviously there's another level to it when you have GPs and all that.
Absolutely. So, all right, guys. You ready, Justin? We're gonna nail it this time. Ready?
All right.
Cool. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a great and profitable week.
Oh, you threw.